in a sense, making some tea, and so
Sure, yeah.
yeah. Well, that being said, let's talk about you talking about you want to share some thoughts with me about education, whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, good.
So yeah, this is just stemming from earlier discussion where
Mm.
the last, I guess, few weeks I've just been seeking the Lord in the direction of my life in the upcoming years,
Mm.
from a very broad sense and also from, or considering my education as well,
Mm.
as encouraged by you as well.
Mhm.
And the Lord has revealed some things that I think we discussed and had been recorded earlier,
Mhm.
just concerning my life and specifically the Lord highlighting the upcoming 7 years or something along those lines and the importance of our
That's interesting.
relationship.
After listen to that, it's just because of study about the new moon and the Tumen Day. They heard this year is a Samantha year. Samantha, they call it Samantha. Samantha is every 7 year.
Oh, I don't know
Is that
what does that mean?
Samantha is every 7 year, but I don't exactly know either.
I've never heard of that.
So mainly talking about the Samantha New Year, Samantha year. So I think it has to do with the Sabbath year. So every 7 years,
so it's
Sabbath
part of the
year.
Jewish calendar.
Yeah, Jewish calendar. So, but they're related to this year. So
Very interesting.
yeah, it's also. So personally speaking, it's my 50th year.
Oh, so you're turning 50 this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a jubilee year for me. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, the Lord told me something. A
Wow.
jubilee year, I will know. Yeah, I was thinking about. I used to think last year jubilee year, but no, this year my jubilee year, and it's 17th year. This is very interesting year number. I began to know the Lord.
Oh, wow.
So 2003, yeah. 18 year, no. I think so. Yeah. Yes, 17.
If it was
yes.
2003, then yeah, it would technically be about
18
Depends
year,
on when.
18 year, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know how to make this stuff up, but it's a little bit crazy stuff, So then he told me this is the ninth year. 9 years ago. What did 9 years ago was we doing?
That was 2011.
2011.
No, 2012, sorry. 2012. Almost 2013.
Wow. No, 2012.
Yeah, but we're about to be in
2021.
a few months, 2022. It just depends on when you're talking about, I guess.
No, 2021. Sometime October. Would it be 2011 October? No, 2012 October.
9 years ago today was 2012, September 18th.
Yeah, what 2012 happened to us? I had no idea. I'm just trying to record things, so I had no idea.
Huh.
Oh,
You're in
it might be the
California,
time I had a dream actually. Can I check out on it? So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's crazy then.
Yeah.
Exactly the day, the year I had the dream, maybe. Can you believe that? I'm sorry. It's just thinking about it. Okay, so 9th floor. That's what it is. Sorry. Change to be again to my conversation about me, but I think his time is good. It's interesting, right? So yeah, this is it. That's yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah. Interesting.
Wow.
Which is what that I don't remember the
Wow.
meaning of that particular dream.
Oh, this was a great dream. It's on the 9th floor. Talking about that started the classroom. For the Melchizedek order. So yeah, this is the one. Before I know how they cooking the bread in the temple, this dream showed me how the bread was made. This I think it's Melchizedek. He was making bread in the temple of the Lord. So
Wow.
yeah. I mean, I literally saw him making temple. Have 3 pots before him, making 3 kind of bread.
Yeah.
A flat bread, unleavened bread. I have no idea how unleavened bread look like, and how, I saw he made unleavened bread. So
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy, huh? Then the bread with like honey, and then later on learn from the Old Testament said that they can, look like a corn, like all brownish, so like a corn cake, right? So,
Yeah.
but it's not corn, the best flour mixed with honey and stuff. I know it's the word tasty, like melt in your mouth. And when I eat it, it melt in my mouth. I think, that must be manna. What it tastes like, So, yeah,
Wow.
it's some oil and honey in it. I think this recipe have oil, honey, very special, and the frankincense in it. So it's in your mouth. Just melted away. That's eat bread oftentimes you have to chew, have textures,
Yeah.
So this has like a melt in your mouth. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. So this is a place where it said I basically came from a place called the 9th floor. I suppose lead these people back to the place. That's where I used to be a student. Or learn things. So later on, I understood that's a kind of discipleship, kind of restore the discipleship ancient ways, So, yeah, it's crazy stuff.
So it's about the 9th floor, and you had the dream 9 years ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
9 years ago.
It's crazy.
On the 9th, today is 9.
18.
It's like exactly 9 years ago.
Yeah.
You see my point, right? So, but just this is the dream that I remember is the 9th year. It exactly fall the 9th year in this festival season, right? So it's uncanny because we are grouped together, try to come back to where we're supposed to be taught, you see? We're leading the people come back to the school. In the university already, I think, got school. And the teacher was the people who prepare the food. The head chef is an old gentleman. I think is Melchizedek. So do you understand the implication? Talking the heavenly wisdom being ministered, being taught. So
Very interesting.
it's uncanny stuff, I tell you. So so. First, who am I to handle dreams? The second, it's really happening. And you are the 9th year, you spirit to continue your education here. And that's what the university we're talking about.
You have to read that.
Yeah,
You
I
should
can
send
send
it
to you. Yeah. This morning we're talking about the ancient wisdom, right? So you see the ancient path. So that's your vision, right? So
yeah, and as I might have mentioned a little bit too before I told the vision, that's actually what the Lord has been speaking to me about concerning just in response to prayer over or seeking the Lord concerning my life and even involving my education a little bit. But I don't want to interrupt you.
No, I'm done. I'm gonna be open.
Well, I mean, just this last week, really, and just spending more quiet time, in fact, I actually kind of received this from the Lord in our last conversation, I think during Monday, where you were telling me, just encouraging me to seek the Lord more after, or seek Him in prayer concerning education and what were the words used? Just, I guess, my purpose in life or something along those lines. And it was around the time that you were talking. It was just revealed to me right then.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And the following.
We're pressed with time. I didn't have the length to talk about it.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Go ahead.
How do I put it into words? I haven't wrote about. It's just been in my heart and my mind. What he was speaking or revealed to me, but it has actually to do, probably best illustrated with the vision I had this morning.
Oh.
Just the renewal of ancient ways or something like that. And in the way that might tie into education, just as an example of the context we're following in the conversation here, is like I see this is even specific enough to point out subjects that I even study. It's very much, I think, very much in line with the kind of things that you have studied in your own life, just like the subjects that you've in both your student life and later on studied. I even had the impression that, like, in terms of subject and area of focus for higher education, even people like Confucius
Sure.
and I think even certain characters in scripture too, where, like, there's many examples, like even Jesus himself, there was much study obviously in the scriptures and the part of biblical characters, and also just general study in governance, in history, obviously, in I think certain, like, it seems like such a broad thing. I don't want to. I don't want to be. I want to be as clear as I can what I'm trying to say.
Sure, yeah. I understand. Actually, those are very topics that I'm interested in. Only, I think I got the spirit of it, but I don't necessarily get into the detail of things sometimes, So,
right. Well, I'll just.
Go ahead.
I'll be as blunt as I can, actually.
Please. Yeah.
Like, let's see. The things that I wrote down, even in the little skeleton of a plan I made here, study plan for upcoming years, these are the subjects, okay? So it might seem like a lot, but the first, and this is probably not going to be an academic subject per se, but I think it could tie in with certain historical and even linguistic knowledge.
Sure.
But the first is scriptural or biblical knowledge. That's something that I want to become more adept in, I suppose.
Great. Okay.
Further history, I already mentioned that. Sociology, law and governance, linguistics. Linguistics does not mean learning a language particularly. Linguistics has to do with, technically it is the study of languages. But this subject does not serve its own goal. It's almost like a means to an end, and touching other mentioned subjects. Economics, philosophy was actually one, not as something that that can seem like
I understand.
I think
I understand.
Yeah, not studying philosophy in the way people do generally.
Sure. You need a survey.
Yeah, a general survey of thought throughout history, how that has developed, in a very, very objective way, I think.
Sure.
But again, that's something. Every one of these I seek to have some guidance in.
Yeah.
And how to approach them.
I would like to go through that with you because I'm recently was reading on that again. Thinking about certain things, especially recently the topic came to me is postmodernism. How impactful it is of today's social narrative, So
right.
Anyways, go ahead. Yeah.
But yeah, those. You might want to take the phone call.
Do I have a phone call?
I can hear it back there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, let me pause this. Okay, so please continue. Sorry, interruptions. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, those.
You're talking about the subject, philosophy a little bit, sociology, history, law, and government.
Economics.
Yeah. So you want to study some system of how government is organized, and right? So.
Right.
Yeah. What subjects very much akin to my interest actually. So
Yeah.
that's uncanny. A little bit. So yeah. Well, those are lofty topics. You know that. Not everybody interested in those topics. I often think they're useless topics. So,
Well, I mean,
yeah, I think.
these are not merely
Yeah.
things. Like I hope I sound like I make sense when I say this, but those are not merely things that interest me. Every single one of those things I do have a genuine and personal interest in. Like those are things that I personally
Passionate
would
about it,
enjoy
yeah.
learning and have a keen interest in learning.
Great.
It's more than that, though. I think
Great.
that those are just through past experience, and I think what the Lord was speaking to me. Those are things that He actually wants me to study.
Great.
For-
I actually were not having depth knowledge. I have a systematic knowledge about how to actually map those
Yeah,
books or listen to you, which I want to know as well myself.
Yeah.
So maybe we can do school together in that regard. So.
I mean that's what I was expecting. I
Oh yeah.
don't
yeah.
see this as something to take on completely by myself.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe-
trying to read some books myself, common law, constitution, different systems going on. I didn't never have the time to do it. Maybe next year, in time, be more separated from things. I also begin to want to write biblical things. Maybe you can, with me, as a framework while I'm doing those things, you can catch up with the biblical study as well. So we can have some in-depth discussion of those things that will catch up you with your biblical education. So
Yeah.
writing those things not really casual, rather affirmative for a long time. So,
Right. And if you ever do happen to take a peek at the Notion board I sent you, I mean, you'll see it's literally just a skeleton. It has like the heading for each subject and then
Yeah.
books and sources. But
Yeah.
what you'll see is at the bottom, I have 3 other more skill-related subjects too. Those
Okay.
being things we've already discussed before, like writing and composition as a skill, accounting stuff if that's a potential, and then programming. And we can figure out stuff.
Oh wow!
Later on.
You basically follow the framework laid out for you. So
Of course.
that's not really good. I want you to invent some stuff yourself. So we can definitely discuss those things.
Unfortunately, I think for the most part, if I was to invent anything, then I would be merely inventing something for the sake of inventing it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Noah. That's very encouraging. I don't want to be so in influence over your life, but for those things you're interested to learn, I'm not good at any of those subjects.
Sure.
You know that, right? So, but I definitely feel I'm knowledgeable enough to lay out some framework.
And there's like other small things like music, which is something I do want to spend my time improving on, but I don't see that as like a serious subject. I see it as more as like a hobby that I can develop.
You need a hobby, dedicate some good time. You have talents and gift in it.
Yeah.
Don't mind doing those things. Now, don't be rigid. Education is, today we have one landscape. We don't want to say the overall landscape, but you journey around, you will see different landscape open up for you.
Yeah,
so,
this is very broad still.
It is broad.
Hey, we're narrowing in though. We're narrowing in.
You're not narrowing. Actually, every subject can take a long time to read. So.
Well, the only narrowing in I've done is the fact that I've written it on paper, basically.
Okay.
That's better than nothing.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about. Every subject can be so broad. So, but what I'm reading, learn, is oftentimes take shortcut in learning. Doesn't mean you lost the essence of learning.
Yeah.
Is learn from the best. Narrow down one set of information. Learn from the best, and read as much as possible the best works in that field.
Mm-hmm.
So then go from there, So I'm very steep in the knowledge of the Chinese history.
Mm-hmm.
Not steep, but knowledgeable enough to know many subjects, many topics, So, but I'm not really well aware of the Western civilization, how it morphs only a surface level. Okay, so recent years I've been try to read like you're aware, try to read American stuff, but I'm not as a study subject, only an informational subject. So try to understand the the society planted me, the culture planted me, and try to understand where it came from. That's my point. So not necessarily to it's not a subject matter for me to set it to get some in-depth understanding of things. Just try to grasp what I'm encountering. So
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, that was a part of, like, I want to add more connection between the subjects I introduced and also the initial thing I mentioned with the renewal of old paths. I think, and I'm sharing this mostly because I would appreciate more understanding on what that truly means and not try to share my own understanding particularly.
Well, there lies a different overhaul of framework education. It had to be, how can I explain to you? The structural education is right now more than they as advanced as good it is archaic education system. And the source of it is try to make you a productive member of society.
Yeah.
Well, that's not how you do education to begin with. You're not a member of society merely for the sake of member of society. Society has to be defined. Do you belong to that society? What the society is, have validity and value. What is the characteristic of that society? Well, oftentimes we don't think along those lines. We just think society has its validity, its value, and its benefit to serve it, right? So that's
Right.
my point. So I'm not saying that it's like everything's good, right? So innately right. I'm not saying antisocial, anti-culture, that trend you have to think about, but to say whatever the education system that tradition passed on, the design for me to serve this society, who know what society really stands for. That's my point. It's just the way you do your life, how you do education. It's a false default to begin with, right? So you understand my point? Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, this is just thinking of the things that you're sharing.
Go ahead.
Digesting it a little bit, but I think that vision basically of the renewal of old or ancient paths is actually just like a little glimpse in the purpose of these specific subjects being a part of my education is ultimately being able to truly, in an informed way, be able to contemplate fundamental questions like what is what is truly education?
Actually, that's why.
What is family?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unless you have profound knowledge, expansive knowledge about the things we're talking about, you're not able to appreciate the depth and the importance of things we really meant to discuss. Because you just think somebody come nowhere, have a flashy idea, talking about the things. They have no understanding. Man actually went through some quest, right? So he has in-depth understanding, he has broadest grasp, not necessarily in a mechanical way or technical way, but he thinking about those things. And I'm telling you, I'm not thinking about those things from an ethic way. I'm thinking about because God has given me this vision. It's not that I'm invited to do this. I'm all have a mission to do this. The interest that came to me is, in the beginning, was my natural mode. I just like to think about those things, But then God gave me the history. It showed me the history of mankind, the creation rather. It showed me my place in the history, like a shooting star coming to the timeline of human history. So I suddenly saw a different way how to evaluate activity in man. How his purpose is work in the middle of the timeline for mankind, right? So I just see he has different way of engaging with mankind. And before that, I have some history education, especially theoretical history theories. Okay, so I said it's a foolish idea because all histories, even a historical thing, a historical means it doesn't think history has its own rules. It doesn't have its causality to, you know, the word causality means, am I right? Cause to result, am I right? So in the beginning to the end, it does. History is about of a jungle and like a mixer, you know, doesn't matter, it's just random, basically, right? So I think there is some higher law governs the move of history, one mode to another. Don't think there is a morphosis, social construct or cultural construct humankind. Well, we then try to, in historical study, try to produce. Marxism is a good example. Try to produce different models that history is going to take on this form, this form, this form, because this kind of structures. Now, Marxism does not come from nowhere. Come from a background, deeply in historical study, deeply in philosophical thinking. Right? So, Marxism is also the leading cause for the degradation of German culture, the Western culture. It's today's morphous or different. It's postmodernism is basically another way of doing Marxism. Okay, so it's more amorphous Marxism way of doing things. I'm just talking to you. So, what the big thing is Marxism atheistic. It means there is no God. There's no fundamental reason. Dependence of humanistic will, human strength, human intelligence can design your own future. But I don't know how to explain to you, but it has permissively begin to govern many things. You know, Freud is another strength, okay? So the psychology. So other kind of things going on, so people talking about, you know, language. Linguistics, that's interesting, you think about linguistics. Postmodernism actually is a start from linguistics. You have no idea, huh? That's most of the thinkers today, postmodernism is a linguistics. Means that people don't know anything. Doesn't know the word, people try to read the track records. And then try to invent it, well, okay, we need the linguistics, we need notions, we need vocabulary, we need script, we need narratives. So to emphasize it again and again based on structure, so the mass indoctrinate the young people to fit this narrative, the lessons in narrative, then redefine everything for them. That's literally the open agenda. Can you believe that? And they said through education, through medium, we accomplish this. And they're doing that right now. With the highlight of modern, this massive, foolish way. So the linguistics think they know history. Linguistics think they know politics. And linguistics think they know economics. The linguistics think they know also human relationships, international relationships. What do you know? You're worse than a bookworm. I mean, they apply that intelligence to every aspect of life, but the governing impact is not even to do with linguistics. Have ultra agenda. Those ultra agendas informed by what, like Marxism, by certain philosophies, and bottom and the heart is enmity with modern society. The progress of humankind from the 100 almost years with enlightenment. They're against enlightenment, they're anti-enlightenment. The premise of enlightenment they literally think is wrong. Now that doesn't mean that enlightenment is good. Enlightenment is about the Dark Age philosophy, right? So, you know, the church or Christianity play a role. Now, I'm not trying to do education for you. I'm just talking about until you know those trains, man. You really can't. It's always on the sway of those things. You think those things that, oh, that's how we think. No. Today, students come out academic world. If you become a good student, let's see, absorb the essence of the student, they will be an anti-student, if you will, to the enlightenment school of people. They're literally going to argue each other to death. And that's all Americans, right? today's American good student versus the ones that, let's say, Thomas Jefferson time, they're going to argue to each other to death. They're going to be literally the polar opposite enemies. So we have no idea, to do progressive movement, democratic, right? Progressive movement. The one who's standing a progressive will argue to Theodore Roosevelt to death. Theodore Roosevelt said, "What kind of, are you lost your mind?" The progress movement, the standard bearer was Theodore Roosevelt in his time, right? So, but he definitely not going to agree with the progressive premises or agendas today's. Dion says my point, he's have a high regard for personality. Doesn't mean he's right. Okay, so that doesn't mean that everybody's wrong either. So my point is that those kind of things, I'm sorry, somebody's here. Modern education is good to. What are we talking about? We're basically talking, I think me talking about some things.
Yeah.
Education stuff. Well, sorry, and unless you read like that, you were hard to grasp where I came from. And so I'm so glad for you that God is able to divine reveal those things to you. That's unbelievable, Noah. Unbelievable. Because those things I can't talk to anybody. I never share with anybody either. So, that's crazy stuff, right? So, yeah. Well, my interest level was impacted by God's vision given to me. It was not because I'm interested. I'm interested for sure, naturally interested. But most part is just thinking, oh, wow, God had a different eye. Look at human history, huh?
Yeah.
I want to know. I understand. And then I begin to read the Bible from a different approach. I see that, that is common with mankind, So he began to say, oh yeah, that's Noah in that time, Abraham in this time. Oh, okay. That's so it's crazy stuff, right? So that's before I know the Bible. So he actually did human history based on his covenant with his chosen people. Wow. What? That's incredible. Wow. Then God said, I want covenant with you. Like that. What? It's too much to think. Not with me in person. I'm talking about me as one of the members of that covenant, right? So, yeah. That's crazy stuff. And I want to tell you something. In my understanding, all those that are covenant with God, they definitely know how to do human societies. This is not a good person to drag along, be a good uncle, good dad. So they're very thoughtful people. They're enlightened by God. Don't know His ways concerning their generation or what God wants His people to be. Am I at least looking forward? What is God wanted people to be? So, and not many interested. Many interested in other things. Not interested in know this way. Well, it's only in this way God said, okay, I will partner with you and establish you as my prince or my one can counsel together, right? But this is my affairs. So what are God's affairs? How do you think about it? Is God making me happy? Mary? Or God just wanted to shame the devil, crush the devil? Or just wanting God to make you feel with the spiritual experiences? Or God just wanted you overwhelmed with this heavenly establishment, especially maybe heavenly visitations or angels? Or He interested to change you, be different kind of understanding, heart of understanding, full of wisdom, and to know His ways. When you get parse all that out, then you receive God. Doesn't mean He don't do those things. He do all that, right? So yeah, but eventually it's like a wheel turn. oh, God wants a certain kind of song. Very special, peculiar kind of offspring. His offsprings. Oh, so it's more than eternal salvation. Making sense to you? It's more than just have wonderful experiences with God, have intimacy with God, so good intimacy. No, he wants a certain kind of songs. Okay, then how he go about in his way to establish that song? Oh, he's gonna engage or discipline that song with different ways. What that look like? Are this the obliterate or ignorant for human affairs, or they fully understand human affairs but not entangled in Western human affairs? Do you understand my point? For example, his same disciple said, innocent like doves, but sure. Yeah, certainly we think we know what that means, right? So, I know every demon. That's subdue every demon. That's what we think in those, right? So, Odin said, I send you as the sheep into wolves. Oh, I'm a sheep. I'm led by a shepherd. But sheep and wolves are different story, right? So, and you're supposed to subdue the wolves, right? So, oh, they give the rod the staff, right? So, oh. There's a lot of transition begin to taking place. When you understand those transitions, you begin to able to parse different teaching, different school of thoughts as well, different practice of Christianity, and eventually come back to the end. The end is very simple. He wants you to be a mature son, to be established son, to approved son, and in that kind of established son, approved son, it's not a mindless or innocent or you understand my point. In a high-minded person is rather very solid, like Noah would be, am I? In the ancient, not you, yet. Abraham would be, am I? So, do you know Abraham was a prince to begin with? He was not just like a commoner without riches, position in life. Do you understand my point? Moses was a prince to begin with. Thinking about it, I'm not saying that they had the born of a high standing. I'm talking about they have the advantage to know human affairs and different starting point, right? David was a young shepherd boy in the remote corner for Israelites, but he quickly was in the center of the government, right? In the center of the first nation. So, what that means, very interesting. So he was his role is very intricate in the setup that environment, right? So is Solomon immune to that? Solomon in the center as well, right? So I'm not talking about political intrigues or power positions. I'm talking about the world is opened up to all kinds of possibilities. You have to learn from those possibilities to let their characters, their wisdom, the understanding be shaped. Am I right? Accordingly, making sense to you? So. And what about the others? Think about them, So each one was not a man without responsibility. That's why it's so important to understand you have to volunteer for responsibility before you do other things. Continue on this term now. Hopefully.
For now.
Now let's turn to you. So that's very encouraging, Noah, to reflecting. You give me a summary a little bit, recall what we discussed. You told me God revealed to you last time about the ancient ways of that. Yeah, the thing you're learning is a little bit
tailored to that vision, I guess.
Preparatory for that, yeah.
Of course, that doesn't mean that, I guess, on my part, even just that.
That's unbelievable to me. That's overwhelmingly unbelievable to me.
At the same time, I take it very cautiously and with wisdom and discernment, I guess, because I can't simply say, even using the same wisdom I had with things God revealed to me earlier about the 7 years and stuff. But I don't simply see that as well. I know exactly what I'm going to do, and now I have the exact vision. I'm going to always have that in the forefront of my mind when I do everything. I mean,
Sure.
there is some similar application you can have, but at the same time, that's not how you can do things so bluntly like that.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. Look, I mean, it's unbelievable. Only God can do that.
Amen.
Those knowledge bases, I don't have clear detail. I just, casually glimpse through it, thinking about other things, then turn to be interested in it. Not never thinking about studying them, I think what happened to me is encouragement that God want me to study it and be with you while guiding with you. That's uncanny. I don't know what that means for my life. So, because I'm never thinking about it to really doing those things, So, I mean, I'm interested. I'm not necessarily to be a scholar.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I was trying to say earlier too. I just had this very strong impression from the Lord to strive after, or not just. I guess that's the wrong word. But to have the same interests, even the same educational or even academic, intellectual interests, I guess, as you, as people like Confucius, people like Tolstoy, even their heart was for your heart, and it is very tailored to
a way of life.
For society, I guess.
Yes, sure.
Not as sociologists, like we make up all these theories. Not in any way like that. That's not what any of these people, Tolstoy, Confucius, they didn't make up theories. They didn't dance with ideas. They
think about real life. God's reflection and God's education.
And that's why the vision is so it brings clarity, because it's the renewal of an ancient way.
It's crazy.
Confucius had a glimpse of the ancient way. That in scriptures there was, I think it even speaks of a prophetic way of the ancient way.
Absolutely. The Lord showed me my vision about the ancient way.
Those are things that I have very little understanding of.
Nor do I. I mean, it's very prophetic given to me. It's not really in clear terms given to me, It's a quest rather than a settle. We said, I know this year, I can see 80% of settle, I know what it is, but...
I actually want to mention just a funny thing. It's along the same topic. I don't want to interrupt you if you're getting anything, but I read a little post about... wait, hold on.
Go ahead.
Let's see.
You want to pick up something, I guess.
Yeah. I'm telling him we'll probably leave in the next 30 minutes or so, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's publicity.
Yeah. It's like a 2:20 or so.
Okay.
Anyways, I saw just a post that was talking about this author. I forget his name, but he had wrote this work. It was actually supposed to be, I don't really know why he said entertainment purposes, but it was like this work that he had wrote off of an old Greek saying or something called, basically the Greek saying is something like, hedgehogs know one great thing, but foxes know many small things, or something like that.
Repeat that, the first word.
I don't know why they use those two animals, but this is like exactly what
the first...
hedgehogs know one great thing.
I have no idea what that is.
Hedgehogs?
No.
It's just an animal. It's those animals that have all those little spines. They look like little balls of needles. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Those little rodent-like creatures.
What did it say?
Hedgehogs know one great thing, and foxes know many small things. Anyways, it's the knowledge in the point of this work was not really what concerned me. I don't have anything to glean from that particularly, but the work was actually supposed to take all the philosophers of history and basically categorize them as either the hedgehog or the fox, okay?
Ah.
So there were philosophers that through their work seemed to express the idea of there being one great purpose for creation, I guess. So this author categorized those philosophers as seeing their worldview was more tailored. That while there were other philosophers who saw things as not really of there being so many different ways to interpret meaning in life and in humanity, okay? So they knew many small things, okay? So he categorized other philosophers of history in that.
Yeah, it's busybody.
So like Nietzsche, how do you say his name?
Nietzsche
and Plato, they were in like the hedgehog group, while like people like Aristotle, and I think maybe even Kant or something like that, they were in the fox group, okay?
Okay.
So this work actually wasn't supposed to be of any significance originally. He was kind of it was kind of like an intellectual thing that he was doing.
Yeah.
But the center of the work was Tolstoy.
Oh, that right?
He was
give a high value to him.
According to the author, he was a enigma with this way of categorization. Basically, the conclusion he came to is that Tolstoy was by nature a fox, so he knew many small things. He was very, very rational in his thought. They're always like he was really like foxes were the kind of people
studiers of details.
Foxes are the kind of people that always find an inconsistency with something.
I see. Yeah.
It's so true. Reading that book, he always saw something wrong with something. But he was a fox that, by conviction, was a hedgehog.
Yes.
His entire life, he looked for the ultimate thing.
Yes, the ultimate concern. I call it.
And when I was
in Chinese, they call it the ultimate concern. I will translate my Tolstoy's before I know the Lord. I wrote a little essay. Not a good essay, about Tolstoy, because the title is The Last Station, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Later on, there was a movie called the exact name, yes.
Wow.
The Last Station.
It's interesting because when I read this small post, I saw a lot of accurate things about it, but basically he said Tolstoy basically died discontent with having never really grasped the solution. This whole way, all explaining way.
Is that interesting? The Lord told me when I'm 50 and when I'm striving for 50, found my true godly given destiny. I think I'm not really holistically found it, but I think I'm pretty much settled with it.
Yeah.
It's not in the future. It's not in fluffy stuff. It's really it's where this place seems prideful and condescending to speak about it, but God is self-containing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not upset if somebody don't know him. So, really not upset. Okay, he eagerly desires others to know him. And it frustrates him no end if others don't know him, right? So, the last created one with humankind. But if it's really refuse to know him, do you think he's upset? He don't, right? He don't. He's not upset with the devil rebel against him. He's in the trouble every day. He lost his joy of love and contentment and confidence in moving ahead with the plan. But rather, you see, he is the plan, right? So, my point is that he's not challenged by those things or frustrated by those things. His plan stand, his purpose stand, right? So, regardless. Now, if you understand that part, there is some other confidence comes in when you understand your life as a purpose in God, and God's purpose including you, right? So, that sounds arrogant, right? Condescending. You know, how you can see that? Well, I can see that because I saw it. And people cannot see that, or it may be a pride to see that when they don't have any living evidences or personal encounter with God. But I can see that. I don't necessarily sign that to them, but I encounter God in such a way. He deals with me in such a way. So what do you want me to do? When those things given to you. So it's a place for you to digest, to facilitate your life to a place you recognize, oh, that's what it means, am I? So when he reveals truth, involves you in such a way, am I? So I think that's most apart from people, the intellectually or otherwise magically thinking that's supposed to be theirs or they're getting there, rather than have it evidentially, substantially, in the living way with God, have that imparted to them, right? So, well, that's difference. I think your life difference is you start from a very high, intimate knowledge, clear knowledge, sign knowledge base, that evidenced by many things. And the devil will do, and ourselves tend to allow to do, is being distracted from that place. And, when simple encounter, when I'm young, nobody knows what is going on, everybody seems to have it. I want to tell you something. You have it, you don't have it, don't have it. People don't understand that. You try to imagine it. My dream revealed to me this, might have the vision of visitation. No, yes, I understand you have it, but when God said it's a peculiar thing, it's a peculiar thing. Don't just drag into the mud, drag into your own color, drag your own shapes, try to make it happen, right? So it's as if you are it, or some things that you got to come to God's holy standard, God's genuine ways to say, well, he said that's it. That's it. You got to have that objectivity and decency to God, to yourself, to say, it's not a common thing. It never should be a common thing. It should not be common said, okay, everyone in the church confess to God, they're going to have it. That's a modern Christianity. The great fallacy of stupidity, the word literally, foolishness, Christianity, they lost their head. How in the world the holy things of God can be commonly dispensed and commonly agreed upon and commonly applied? By nature, it's incompatible to what it means to be holy. And Yan says my point. So then we require holiness, require that unique peculiarity. People say, cry foul to it, said that's not God. God is not like that. God is not impartial. God is not elite. God, all kinds of protests come from. Where's that protest came from? Well, I heard the Asian serpent cry. That's the serpent in the beginning. So humanistic view has applied to man so that he can get somewhere by your own ways, right? So rather than his approved way, his in doubt, I don't know too much. Well, the point is a humanistic view, cry foul against God, divine delineations and purposes. Now, because these two are always in clash in the human field of thinking, and we continue going to narrow that down into place of confusion. And we had to eventually overcome. The first set is, don't be prideful. Even you receive the calling of God, don't think you can do it by your own pride, your own self-strength, your self-zeal, self-passion. That has to be cancelled. There's no good thing in us. We have to cancel, this had to be done by God, my yieldness to God. And there are a lot of things to be emptied. There are a lot of things to be cleansed in our lives. But once you identify with it, once you have get hold of it, once you believe and decide to civilly walk in it, with the living evidence and the living reality you're walking in it, there's no way to tell you and to allow anybody to upset, to replace that position. Saying you're not doing it. You're not it. God is not doing it with you. And Brian, don't do it. You see my point in this, that's false humility. That's detrimental to truly walk of faith is and obedience is. So this too has to be really. So people have said, what's the difference? The difference is, it's not you doing it. It's God who is doing it. And you empty yourself, you allow God doing it. Are you doing 100%? Who tell you you're going to be 100%? But I'm increasingly allow God to take increasing measure, my faith increase, my confidence in God increase, my wisdom, understanding in God increase. And I'm not afraid to do it. Now, people would continue to ask you, can you rationalize that with me? Can you justify that? Can you show me some signs, wonders? Oftentimes those people is the wrong kind of audience to talk to. No. It's exactly the people I want to tell anything to you. Why? Because you already set yourself apart as unwilling to receive the possibility somebody can walk in it or I'm walking in it. Never done is somebody, me, the ones before you is walking in it. You set yourself on the judgment seat. You set yourself as if you're the one who had to go through for your verification and just had to go through your approval. Who are you? Who are you? You are dust, ants, foolishness to God. You're literally the opposite what I actually hold accountable and troubled with. You're absolutely not the audience material God wants to work on. Doesn't mean I don't respond to you. Doesn't mean I'm arrogant or unwilling. It's because I understand what the material made of. What a pride, heart, and hypocritical posture you have. You have no appetite, ready to know. If you really ask to know, you don't ask for the things of God with such arrogant ways, as if God has to go through you for approval. Do you understand my point? God never do that. God is not going to have you to step aside to judge His work. So, nor He subject the servant to go through you for approval, for verification. He don't need you. So, if you are servant of the Lord, in a sense, this is the people, you don't forget about them. That's nothing to do with your arrogance. Just so you know, they're not the material you're supposed to work with. They're not the audience you're supposed to speak to. They're not the people you're willing to listen to you. That's exactly what Jesus was speaking about. The stubborn people. The people proudful. So how are they proudful? The Lord said, "Oh, blessed are you, Lord, for you have revealed the things to the wise and learned, but revealed to those two babies." Babies means ones willing to learn, little one, right? So like young student, right? So you are the one sitting here. You are the one supposed to decide who to talk to. But the magic unto me will magic back to you. I decide who I'm going to reveal to them. I decide who I'm going to relate. I'll take, the Bible said, I will loose and bond. The young rich young ruler you just read today is a good example, man. She said, I will lose this young man. I don't have to chase his tail. Every societal, even the disciple trouble that he don't interested to track that young man. They look at themselves, they feel inadequate because they're not doing things good as the young man doing, right? So the young man have the audacity and confidence to say, I've done all those things. Pretty good. And Peter was saying, no, I'm not sure I've done all those things. So what made the young man a invalid candidate for Jesus' will of engagement? And with Peter, who said, I didn't do anything the young man did, or worse than the young man. And said, but I did give up everything. Means I don't insist on my ways. I don't take a pride in my former way of life. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to dance. My point is that Jesus said, well, that's good for me. I want you to tag along to verify what you think is right. I'm interested. People don't get it. God sends servant never interested to verify your life. He's interested to torn it asunder and rebuild it. He's not interested to pat on the shoulder, said, hey, wonderful young man, wonderful lady, wonderful young girl, you're doing right with God. He was very interested, said, let's examine the bottom line. If you have a good start with God, yet not. If a good start with God, good. Let's have a further relation with you. If you don't, you need to repent and get to the bottom line of your life and come to the measure of God. Right? So the measurement of God. I'm not talking about these things to be a rebuke to anybody, but we have continued blurred those fundamentals. I would think the ones sent by God don't have the right to measure us accordingly. That's why sometimes I say the most gifted, most knowledgeable in the Bible is the most stubborn and most unwilling to change. Because why? Because they continue pour those information, those abilities, those wisdom, understanding into the own wineskin. So we'll continue to come to the conclusion based on those things. That, oh, I know what God wants to do with my life. Oh, I know how to develop God's relationships. Oh, I know how to process God's work. And God said, hold on. If all those things become a stumbling block for you, when we discuss the basic yes and no, you always come with the wrong answer. The basic yes and no is no one is interested, huh? Do you honor the one God sent to you or not? Very simple. If your answer is no, you don't do it. Let's see. Do you learn anything yet? Fundamental, simple. In the latter days, everything distilled. Do you honor one sent by God to you or not? Can you? If you can't, what do you think God going to use you for? Now, if you will and you receive the benefit, receive the flow, receive the wonderful endowment of God, is that not natural for you to go out in God's name in the same way? You're going to demand others in the same way, am I right? That's a demand. That's a command. That's non-negotiable. Means I don't tailor on to learn your favor. Said, okay, you must be a man of God because it's so good to me. Who is God here? Human, we, right, is God. Made yourself as God. Turn around the corner. Said, I have repented. I have received the standard God has been changed by the will of God. And thank God sent someone to show me another way of life. I just received the benefit, the goodness of God in that way of life. Then I will go out, not draw man unto myself, but draw man, interesting, huh? Draw man to God through my ministry, my confidence, my oneness with God. My confidence, my independence, my goodness come from the Father, from God, and right? So rather myself. You see my point? So that's a totally different way of receiving. Now it's boiled down to the simple question it's like this point. Okay, a young son or young daughter in your age, you may be more relevant, impactful in this nation. You grew up to be the president of a nation, a best musician in the world, a wonderful sportsman, a superstar, whatever. Or maybe there's a fisherman, who knows, maybe a garbage collector. In a sense, man said that's a bad job, bad future, right? So, but you come back to your father, mother, you honor them, right? You love them. You have good parents who will honor you, love you, not because you're president or a garbage collector. You must know who you are, how you love your wife, how you love your children, how you're good society, members of society, good members of community, right? They will allow you and honor you based on those things, right? So think about those things. Now imagine if you're a wonderful president of the nation, but you don't honor your parents or father, your mother, father. When your mother, father absolutely deserve your honor, right? You don't do that. So what makes you a leader for a nation? What do you be proud of for thinking you're a good father to your children? It's fundamentals. It's the simple fundamentals. So that's what I'm talking about. Right? I'm talking about. You said I'm a great leader. They said I'm a great father. And you said da 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 da. But when you come to your mother, your father, you not honor them. And they deserve your honor. Let's say they're not doing anything to don't deserve your honor, right? Nobody is perfect, but so let's say 99% is good, or 90% is good, or 80% is good. So what do? You dishonor them? Or you fundamentally thankful for them, honor them? No, that the performance is bottom of your heart. That's what it is. That's who I am. That's what my parents is. I love them, I honor them. That's a simple free flow of my heart. That's who I am. That's how I grew up. There's no other way I go about life. I don't even think about it. You never resist the word honor. Honoring there how to do it. I never know the word. Do you understand my point? I never know. But I'm doing everything. I never brag about it. That's who I am. That's what marriage is for me. So I'm just doing it. I'm gonna try to illustrate something. Now, if that is the case, then nobody can say you're not doing the right thing, am I right? So now, if we know that is important in human life, basics set up a human life said you're a decent human being to begin with, okay? Decent human being. And we treat God, He's the sent ones. In the end of the day, had no real honor. Do you understand my point? Natural endowment, natural flow of life. People not doing wrong with you. Your parents, you love them and you treasure them. Because they give you life, they give you upbringing, they give you wonderful endowment in life. You honor them. That's a wonderful thing. But if God sends someone to you to bless you, or God sent you to someone to bless others in this way, so what do you think God going to do? Now, your parents, if He send a teacher to you, like me to a teacher, right? You dishonor the teacher, would your parents happy about it? Now, if God send the teacher to you, His teacher, you, will you think God is happy about it? So while we have Christianity, cannot get through the fundamentals. You see, you have to give them said, hey, it's a teaching of honor. It is a requirement of honor. It's a law of honor. It's a movement of honor. Are you kidding me? That's who you are. That's supposed to never talk about even. If you know God, you know the Spirit will naturally flow you into those things. And you don't do it, it's because you don't belong to God. You're not walking in the Spirit. Am I too hard on people or the simple things? You walk in your own passion, your own culture, your own leading. You're not led by the Spirit. No, what then let's see the bottom in the end. All gifted spirit, all spirit. May I ask you, do you honor someone sent to you? You said, oh, my God, yes, that's the Bible told me so. Oh my God, that's the Lord, somehow revelatory talking to me. Oh, there is a movement. God tell me to do that. They had to honor the older generation. I'm just talking. Well, too late, buddy. You never think about it. Now, I don't know what culture you brought up with. I don't know what high spirit you walk with. I don't know what high education you stumbled at to when you said you learn God. So, He's never registered you. That's the 101. Spiritual walk 101. Discipleship 101. Like 10 years, somebody decided to wake up. Oh, I'm a good disciple because my teachers told me how to honor Him. Are you kidding me? Those are not supposed to be taught as a topic. those are supposed to be the first step when you walk in the classroom, like in the natural classroom, go to any school or any teaching setting. You're going to dishonor your teacher? Or argue with your teacher? Say the teacher can nothing to teach you, is a bad teacher to begin with because he don't put up your tempers or your foolishness, childishness. Are your parents encouraged to do that? What kind of culture are you? What kind of parents you got there? But that's modern society. In general, we think the students should be indulging that, and right? So encourage that. Then we spread Christianity. We have a very diluted Christianity. So when somebody like me or others or you begin to reverse the gear a little bit, said, wow, where we get it in this? When we ended up in this way? I had to tell young ones to honor the teacher all day long? I had to discipline them to honor the teacher all day long? Are you kidding me? Then can you learn us anything? Can the teacher be a teacher to you? Those are basic tenets of being a student, be a teacher. Then you can learn something. You struggle with other things. Do you know 1 + 10 now? We struggle with the right thing. But the Christianity has a continuous struggle on the things that it should never be struggled with, the basics, and we struggle think getting somewhere. Actually, the reality means you don't want to be a good Christian. You don't want to be a good teacher. You don't want to be a good learner for God. That's the bottom line. That's what you struggle with. If you really want to struggle with, you will have a different struggle. Is that right? So, am I right? And somebody like me, long enough to tell you, what? Have you guys learned the culture for honoring God's household? Have you learned it? Have you ever paid attention to it? It's like a thunder, something like beaming from the heaven. Well, do you understand? That's how I grew up with. Do you understand? I never walking outside that. It's like Jesus and I walking said, it's alien concept to people. I mean, to me, what you were talking about? Somebody sent by God to teach me. Sent by God to take care of my well-being. I'm just talking to you. I'm talking about the struggle, am I right? I thought, man, that's the best thing in the world happened to me. Now, I don't deserve it. I would take on it every opportunity to thank God for it, thank the person who done that job for me. Now, my walk is a little bit unique. I had to walk away from those relationships, right? Walk beyond those relationships. But my God, in those 10 years, year in and out, every week I will give people a call. Every time I walk away, I will make them know I'm so thankful for them. Every week. Once, at least twice, even beyond, because I give time to talk to me for hours. No, I don't talk. People think I talk a lot, but I don't talk those occasions. They ask me, no, I don't have a lot of opinion. I want to hear you. What God teaching you? I have this struggle. I don't kind of figure out. I know I'm in the wrong. My heart's not settled. Can you figure me out? Can you tell me what's wrong with my spirit? Can you tell me what's wrong with my heart? And they said, oh, and you have cancer and you need a knife cut. I want the knife cut me. I invite the knife to cut me. I don't want the surface cut. I thank them for cutting me. Take the meticulous patience. Take the bloody, nasty process willing to come to my heart to operate on it. I thank them for it. Is that normal in Christianity? Not so. Who would like to do that with you? No, if you don't really care about you. And you can't have that if you don't sincerely seeking people. People are wise. They're not foolish people. They're not going to just do that because you think you want it. They have to test you, try you, figure you out. Really, is God in this or not? But people are not foolish. They're not second hand or whether guessing work. They have to have God assign them to do it for you. They feel confident that's God's will for them to do it for you. Now here we have three unities. God, them, me. But I'll tell you, the initiation start God working hard in you. I'm the one. Invite them to do it. Now how I can invite them? I ask God to do it. I want God to do it in my heart. God, do whatever you want in my heart. And then he sent someone to you. Then he said, oh, thank God someone sent to that work in me. Now, why cannot I will not have think of it? Because I know who sent them to me. You see? Because I asked God to do it for me, right? He sent them to me. I like it? No way I don't like it. In certain ways I don't like it. It's comfortable? It's not comfortable. But I will not say that's not God. I not say that's not good for me. No, I said, well, I don't care about those people. No, I will always tell them, God sent you to me. You're doing God's work in me. It's uncomfortable for me, but I know it's good God doing it for you. Thank you so much for bear up with the foolish me and imperfect me. Go through my mess, my you understand my point? My stubbornness, my ignorance, are willing to win out on me. Anything else? Anything else? Can you tell me more? I went through that. Steep. That's not humility. To me, that's not humility. That's realistic evaluation where you are. Like in looking in the mirror, you see a lot of ducks, bad spots. You want somebody to help you to clean up, right? So, what is humility about? There's nothing humility about yourself. Actually, you look at your heart always in the pride. That's why you need those people to ask you. You always know you're in a place of resistance, pride, stubborn. That's how I felt many a time. I'm going to wrap it up. Now, my point to you. Your starting point is a very wonderful point. But the Christianity, the will of man, are wrapped around us to tell us how to process that, how to make that productive. It's most of the time is misoriented, misinformed. Do you understand my point? It's a humanistic approach. It's not really knowing God's way how to raise up a son, educate the heart, am I right? He tried to dilute it away, to distract it away. Is God harsh? All those people sent to us, God is not wise, or just bully us around and slash it around? No, they are the most gentle, wise, loving, and patient people you can get. They have a good heart for you, right? So, for me, at least, they don't want to do any harm to me. If I walk away, they don't never think I'm the worst person in the world. Just know God has different purpose for my life, right? So, do until I will try to tell you, I'm going to pray. So, yeah. And that can come about. Then come about with the endowment that we discussed about. I think God can do great things. It's not about topics anymore. It's the essence of a life. You can take a different engine. I'll tell you, Noah, God's work isn't mystical. It always comes with hard agreement. Then something begins to happen. You really can. Oh, this is gonna happen. That means this. No, you can't translate. But it's always started at the heart level. When the heart, the spirit, the engine clicked. It's like, oh wow. There's something that's in the deep of the deep begin to move. And then it begin to move, am I right? Begin to move, begin to brooding, and it changed everything. Everything else is outflow of it. And you don't naturally always click. It's hard to click actually. But when you get enough to a place like I begin to enter into this like cohesively inconsistent. Inconsistent to your own rational mind. But the cohesive to God, it's like a natural. I have this picture. A river flowing in the dry land, the seed begin to take shape, growing, right? So every seed come out of the ground. Let's imagine how a new seed, a new growth, right? Never had it before. What? When that happened? How that happened? So you don't know. But you definitely know when the river flows to the dry land, things gonna grow. So you don't know what's gonna grow out there, but you definitely know it's gonna grow. So that land gonna replenish with life, right? So you don't know what's gonna grow up there. Not up to you, not up to the water. But you definitely cannot say the water didn't make grow. It does make grow. So, go ahead, pray.
Amen.
I want you to pray for me. This is new to me. This is new to me. It's different. It's different. I have to see it's different. Go ahead.
Amen. Lord, we do thank you for the mighty things that you are doing. Lord, the things that you are working out in our lives, and the work of your hand in steering the course ahead of us, Lord, of which we may know very little, Lord, but it is...
Listen, just close your eyes, see a vision for me. For me in this light, in this assignment. I pay extreme care, my heart, to the education for yours in the Lord. I take as holy responsibility the responsibility of great joy in my life. I don't want any presumption, any missteps. And that's go beyond affection thing. Or personal friendship with your dad or you. And treat it as a holy assignment. And he's a training ground. He's a school for me. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I don't think when Abraham, Isaac grew up before him, he was said, I have confidence, every confidence reads out this song. Or when David knew who Solomon was, he said, I have every confidence it's going to be this good land, just carry on my kingdom. I think in the heart of hearts, they have a huge humility and a great joy, but it was fear and trembling, with trepidation. Almost. Wow, that is a son. It's chosen by God. That one is called by God before he was born. I don't want to elevate to an unbecoming place. I'm telling you, I'm treating your life as one is sent by God to me, so equally like maybe me sent to you. I don't require you for you to exert extreme care or concern. I just want you flee freely in the Lord. But for me, it's a learning curve. That's why I'm saying it's a learning, So I've been sent to others in many capacities, many levels, many roles. I think I not always do a good job, but I did a okay job. But the young generation, a different story. To a life that has grew up before me, in the natural and in the spirit for sure. A different thing. I mean, listen to yes. So tell me the waiting song.
I just saw. I just guess it was like a really immense mountain range or something. I was standing on top of one of the mountains, I think. It was very first person view, so I didn't actually see myself, but it just like a very long mountain range. It looked to be all covered in snow. But I just had an immediate understanding of what the mountains were in the snow too were actually made out of, like what their material actually was. Very interesting material. So I had an immediate impression that the mountains were made purely out of diamond, which is really crazy to think about. Like, all of these immense mountain ranges made out of solid diamond. That's just really, just imagine how hard that is. And how valuable it is too, obviously. But another interesting part too is that the snow was not actually ice, it wasn't water. The snow was actually a mix. I guess I don't know the meaning of this, but it's a mix of salt and sugar.
Oh,
I don't know. That's what the snow actually was. Which, of course, both look the same. Generally look the same because they would both be white. With both salt and sugar.
That's interesting.
That's pretty strange, isn't it? The snowy mountains were actually salt and sugar mountains of diamond. I'm not sure. Really sorry, I have to use the restroom extremely fast.
Me too. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's wrap it up here. Yeah. May the Lord bless you.